The Los Angeles Dodgers have gotten the crown jewel of the offseason so far in the new year. They bring in Roki Sasaki on a $6.5 million bonus. The Padres and Blue Jays were the runner-ups in that running for him. We'll see what their next answer is going to be. But what we're going to look at next is what the teams are looking at as far as fallout from the Roki Sasaki signing. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe, and let's get started. And welcome into the MLB Hot Stove Daily here at the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate you guys joining us on a Saturday evening. A great football game is happening right now. The Washington Commanders and Detroit Lions. Detroit is down by 10 at halftime, but very appreciative of all you guys joining us here to discuss some baseball on a Saturday evening. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in Mark, Holly, Roy, Cruise Control, Stanley, Robert. Appreciate all you guys joining us. Redemption tour for the Yankees. Well, they look like the team, to me at least, in the American League that has a really good chance to get back to the World Series after all the adjustments they've made to their roster. We'll see how they ultimately stack up in October. Welcome in Cruise Control, Roy, Max. Appreciate all you guys joining us. Rafe, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Try to catch up on a few of these comments and we'll get into some of the headlines. Congratulations on Sasaki. Yes, the Dodgers do finally get their guy in Roki Sasaki. Yankees getting expected again by the Dodgers if they make it to the World Series, weak AL. Well, the Dodgers on paper are the favorite right now for the World Series. I will say that much. Max, any idea why Martin Perez isn't official yet? Has been 10 days. I think it's primarily going to do with roster manipulation, things of that nature. I don't think there's anything holding up the deal per se as far as like a medical issue or anything like that. I think it's just the way business is handled in the offseason. Some of those smaller deals you can kind of stack up and, hopefully get him signed as you get closer to spring training. Maybe he hasn't had a chance to get the physical done yet. There's any number of things, but there's no reason for concern there. Cruise Control, love the moves the Yankees have made. Great rotation and bullpen in the AL. Need to do more to win it all. Absolutely agree with you there, Cruz. Rafe, I knew it would happen, but I still can't fathom my Texans are going home today because of the pitiful refs. Well, I mean, they lost the game. I get all the negativity out there about the referees and the Chiefs lately, but, they outgained the Chiefs by 100 yards. They didn't turn the football over. That's the first time in, I believe, 50 games that's happened in a postseason game where a team is outgained by over 100 yards, doesn't turn the ball over, and I forget what the last stat is in that group, but still, the Chiefs just know how to win. Now, I will say some of the calls in that game were questionable. Were they completely egregious? No. So I don't necessarily buy into the narrative that the refs are in the bag or anything like that. I think the league would have a far bigger problem if that was the case. Yes, the rules are there to protect the quarterback when he slides, etc. But maybe that's something they should address because Patrick Mahomes certainly was trying to bait the officials into calls for the majority of that game, and two very consequential calls ultimately go against the Texans. Part of the big difference in the game there, part of why even when they're outgained by over 100 yards and the Texans don't give up a turnover, they still end up winning the game. But Mahomes and the Chiefs just continue to win. It doesn't matter how pretty, doesn't matter how ugly, doesn't matter what the final score is. They just find a way to win, and that's just what the Chiefs have been doing all year long. We saw that during Tom Brady's years, in the beginning anyway, with the New England Patriots as well. All right, let's try to catch up on a few of these other comments here. Roy, don't be a loser. Don't be a loser. One World Series win. Don't the dynasty yet, brother. Well, I mean, as far as a dynasty, we're pretty darn close to one already with the Dodgers. They've got 2 World Series in 5 years now. They could add another one here this year. I think at that point they are most certainly a dynasty. At that point, welcome in Verlis. Dodgers had all the injuries and only 2 starters and still spanked the Yankees. That's kind of what I was saying as far as the Dodgers, all the injury issues that they had this year, Ohtani not being able to pitch all year long. This was the year you could have had a real legitimate chance to beat the Dodgers. Now the Dodgers are going to be at full strength next year. They bring in Ohtani to be able to pitch this year. They're going to bring in Blake Snell. Now they're going to have Roki Sasaki. They're going to have Clayton Kershaw coming back in the second half as well. Now they've added to their lineup as well. There's a lot of versatility in that lineup, up and down that roster. Freddie Freeman's going to be healthy in the second half, you'd imagine. He was injured and banged up in the World Series and still managed to put in a Kirk Gibson-worthy performance in the World Series. But the Dodgers, they are a prolific team right now. They are the evil empire, and baseball is much, much better for it. I get all the negative headlines out there, but my goodness, baseball is going to be fun to be able to watch. It's going to be appointment television anytime the Dodgers are on TV. It's going to be like the Harlem Globetrotters coming to town. That's the kind of impact the Dodgers are going to have, and I think they're going to win at a very significant clip. Now, does that mean they're going to win the World Series? No. Does it mean they're the favorite? Absolutely. They put themselves in the best position. They still have some more work to do in that bullpen. Injuries could, of course, crop their ugly head again. Maybe they could, rue the day they didn't bring in Nolan Arenado as a third baseman. Maybe Freddie Freeman doesn't completely heal. You might have some regression anyway from some of those pitchers like Blake Snell, who does seem to have a good year and then a bad year. Last year, he was able to break that trend a little bit. Maybe you have some guys that don't necessarily pan out in that rotation. Say Ohtani isn't able to get back to being a regular pitcher throughout the regular season, and therefore his results ultimately struggle throughout the regular season. Maybe those are some of the things you're hoping for if you're an opposing fan of other teams anyway. But the Dodgers, on paper, right now, look like the prohibitive favorite to win the World Series. MLB big deal deferrals. Deferrals are a thing right now. Robert, something along the lines of Starling Marte for Nolan Arenado and Ryan Helsley, Mets could add or eat. You'd need to add a couple of prospects to that one, most certainly, just for Ryan Helsley portion of it. Now, say you eat the entirety of the contract for Starling Marte and bring in the entirety of the contract for Nolan Arenado, then you could have a legitimate conversation as to what prospects you'd want to send out the other way. Maybe you get some middling prospects going back there, but not a bad idea, Robert, but you're not looking to take up more at-bats from younger players by bringing in Starling Marte. You'd probably have to route him to another team in that type of a deal. But the Mets, they're still looking to add to their bullpen even after bringing in A.J. Minter yesterday on a 2-year, $22 million deal. Roy, don't hate, appreciate. Dodgers way better than the Yankees. Enough said. I think they're the way better team than pretty much anybody in the entire game, not just the Yankees. Let's see here. Mets are strengthening their pitching, yes, but I still have questions about their rotation. Nando, welcome in. Appreciate you joining us. Is Tanner Scott realistic for the Dodgers? Yes, he is. He is still, to me, their number one target in their bullpen. League don't care because they only care about money. Mahomes is their golden boy. I mean, the league doesn't care necessarily who wins or loses. I think they just want to make sure that the league is continuing to grow, the money looks good, all those kinds of things. Now, the referees, if there's an issue there, I'm sure they will address it there. Let's see here. Paper means nothing to me. Yes, they got to play the games. I agree with you there, Cruz. Yankees lucky playing in weak AL. I don't know about lucky playing in the weak AL. I think the AL has plenty of good teams. I'd just say that the cream of the crop is on the National League side right now. More of a top-heavy league anyway, where the AL, you still have several teams that are going to be vying for playoff positioning, but are any of them a complete team? The Rangers still need a little bit of bullpen help. The Astros still need some outfielders and may need some starting pitching by the trade deadline. The Yankees still need a little bit of bullpen help in my mind. They still need to bring in an infielder as well. Orioles still need a number one. Tigers still need to bring in somebody for that bullpen and another hitter for that lineup as well. Royals, they did their best to improve this roster on the shoestring budget that they always seem to work with. Last year, I think, was the anomaly where they spend at the second highest level in the entire game in free agency. And this year, they've really done very little. They bring in Jonathan India to help with their offense, but you see just how many teams are going to be competing on the American League side just for a wild card spot, let alone the division. Doesn't necessarily mean that the AL is necessarily worse than the National League. I just think that there are more top-heavy teams on the National League, but on the whole, it's a fairly simple. You can see your pathway on the AL. It's easier to get through some of the upper-level teams. Where on the National League side, you're going to have to go through the Dodgers. You're going to have to go through the Mets or the Phillies or teams like that. So they're a little bit more top-heavy in the National League. Arizona will be a threat. Yes, they will. Dodgers are deep. Dodgers will play the Yankees in the World Series. Easy win. I don't know if the Yankees make it to the World Series. Like I said, the AL, while they don't necessarily have a true dominant favorite like the NL with the Los Angeles Dodgers, Yankees are still the favorite on paper, but the Rangers could easily get there. Orioles, if they add a number 1. Red Sox could surprise some people this year. Or the Astros could have one more great run in them as well. Anthony, welcome back. Let's see here, trying to catch up on a few of these comments and get into some news today. Is there any young pitching in the Dodgers system that you're willing to give up because of how great their pitching staff is in the majors? No. Simple answer, no. Why would you trade from your depth? That's what you have the depth there for. Maybe you're looking to get some minor league prospects from that system, but you'd have to give somebody, or you'd have to give something of significant value to the Dodgers. And I would be looking for bullpen help if I was the Dodgers, just to kind of finish off their offseason. Liberty, MLB is so one-sided, eventually people will not want to watch if more teams don't spend. That's not how baseball's worked historically. When there is a dominant team, i.e. the Yankees in the late 90s, the quote-unquote evil empire with George Steinbrenner, etc., that's when baseball had a lot more television revenue coming in at that time. There was a lot more interest in the game. Now, this is 30 years since that time frame has really happened. We haven't really had a dominant team in Major League Baseball since then. This is the first time we've really seen this happen, and I think the numbers for baseball are going to go through the roof as far as interest around the Dodgers, interest in the game as well. Now, sure, some of those smaller market teams might not draw nearly the numbers that the Los Angeles Dodgers will, but for baseball in general, the numbers are going to be significantly better with the Dodgers being that evil empire type team out there. Welcome in, Jonathan. Appreciate you joining us once again. We'll see if we're... Oh, that's... Okay. Control news, fact, Roberts outmanage Boone. I don't know. I think both managers did a decent job. Boone did the best with what he had to really work with. To me, that bullpen really blew up on him. Dodgers have, just the overwhelming talent to me with Ohtani, Freeman, Betts. That was really carrying them in that series. Boston got tougher. Yes, they did. Anthony, I hope I'm not looking too much into this, but did you think that the NFL is trying to convince Stephen Ross to sell the Dolphins by doing this game in Madrid? No, that's just a way for him to make extra money by having one of his home games in Madrid. Rafe, Longhorns sold, Texans sold. Time for Rangers to bring me happiness again. Hopefully. I mean, the Rangers do look good this year. They still need to bring in some bullpen help. We'll get into some of the holes that remain on other rosters here in just a moment. Welcome back, Michael. Appreciate you joining us once again. Let's see here. Cruz, that the Dodgers won in 20 and 24, so that's 2 championships. Yes. Predict the comeback player of the year in the NL for 25. Good question. Sandy Alcantara has a good chance to get it. Ronald Acuna has a chance to get it. The pitcher from Milwaukee, Woodward. The number 2 there, that was to Corbin Burns. I forget his name. He has another chance to get that comeback player of the year award, Jonathan. Yankees won't even make it that far this year. They're one and done. I don't know about that. The Yankees are still a good team. To me, they still need an impact bat more than anything else, and I think they will add one at the deadline. But as currently constructed, I would agree they still have holes. They're a wild card elimination team at best. Dodgers are a million times better than the Yankees, plus the Yankees lost Soto now, so it's going to take many years to recover from that. I don't know about that. I think all of that is well out of proportion there. To me, the Dodgers are the favorite on the National League side. Let's stop crucifying the Yankees because they did just get to the World Series. There are only how many teams in Major League Baseball, and how many teams ultimately get to win the World Series? Oh yeah, that's 1. So everybody else finishes at least or in second place or worse. Honestly, there can only be one champion, and the Dodgers won it this year. Now you still have to go out and prove it next year. Just because you won it this year means diddly for what it means for the next year. So let's stop crushing, all the other fan bases out there. Other teams are going to have a legitimate chance to knock off the Dodgers. It isn't going to be a sweep every single round of the playoffs. It isn't going to be a 162-0 Los Angeles Dodgers team. Sure, they might have one of the greatest records in baseball history. They may even challenge for the greatest record in baseball history, but they are not going 162-0. Let's tone down a little bit of the rhetoric around the Dodgers. My goodness. Rafe, Lions really going to F around and find out? Well, they were losing by 10 at halftime. Jose Lito, appreciate you joining us. How do you figure they have a better bullpen? Better, yes, but still need more work. Stronger, deeper pitching staff? Yes, they do. And they've improved their defense. Absolutely agree there. Their lineup sucks. I don't know about that. Let's see here. Try to cut. Woodruff, thank you. Dodgers have the best rotation in all of MLB. Yes, when healthy. Michael B. Real best rotation in AL. In the American League, I don't know if that's the best rotation in the AL. I still think the Mariners have a good chance to be the best rotation in baseball or in the American League right now. Devin Williams, bullpen, Weaver. I would agree there. The bullpen is a little bit better than the way Mr. Caputo is putting it there. Soto is the big loss there, of course. The performance that he was able to provide in the postseason was great for the Yankees. They're going to have to see whether or not this going about it a different way, having the sum of the parts work to a better advantage, if that's the way that works a little bit better for them. And to me, I still think they need to bring in an impact bat. They don't necessarily need a Juan Soto level bat. They just need somebody in there to take a little bit of the pressure off of this club once they get to October. At least in my mind, I think they will get it. But to say that the Yankees are scrubs at this point, or any other team in the league besides the Dodgers is scrubs, I mean, let's tone down a little bit of the rhetoric, guys. Predict AL Rookie of the Year in 25. To me, we're looking Roman Anthony, Dalton Rushing on the NL side, Dylan Cruz. Those are kind of the names I'd be watching out for. I hope I'm not looking too far into this. Okay, I already answered that question there. Dominguez, full year is a beast. Yes, hopefully he's able to stay on the field for the entirety of the season. Alrighty. Try to catch up on a few of these other comments here. Okay, doesn't look like I missed too much there. All right, let's get into some of the headlines. Oh, wait, there are none today. We got the big headline, of course. Roki Sasaki goes to the Los Angeles Dodgers. They will very likely be working with the six-man rotation next year. You're going to have Glasnow, Yamamoto, Ohtani, Snell, Kershaw, and Sasaki. And then waiting in the wings, you have Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, Miller, and a couple other young guys as well. Dodgers certainly have a lot more depth in that starting rotation like they did in the beginning of this run that they had around 2020 with the Los Angeles Dodgers. They lost a lot of that depth over the last couple of years and now have built it right back up again. They were really trying to save money, dip underneath the tax threshold the year before they bring in Shohei Ohtani. They were able to successfully do so and now have set themselves up for a decade-long streak of success here. We'll see how many championships they ultimately win. To me, they're going to be a dynasty team if they are not considered one already. I think one more championship would solidify that dynasty argument for the Dodgers, and it's not going to be a question of, not one, not two, not three, but how many are they actually going to be able to put together with the level of talent that they built up. This is the evil empire New York Yankees of the late 90s, and it's good for baseball that this has happened. I understand the rest of the other teams in MLB are going to be unhappy that the Los Angeles Dodgers were able to get Roki Sasaki. They must have had a prearranged agreement. So what? Cry me a river. I was listening to Jim Bowden talk on Foul Territory today about how he wants there to be an investigation about how Sasaki went to the Dodgers. Well, guess what? The Los Angeles Dodgers had agreements with other players as well that ultimately fizzled and went to other teams of international prospects. For instance, the guy that goes from the Dodgers, I think his name was Morel, to the Padres, doubled his money. And don't tell me other teams have not been doing the same thing with international bonus pool money. They've had agreements in place with players since they were 13, 14, 15 years old and have just been waiting for them to sign on this date. So I get it. You're unhappy Sasaki's going to the Dodgers. I get it. The Dodgers are the evil empire. But at a certain point, you have to realize, hey, they're the best team in baseball right now, and why wouldn't I want to go compete on that team and try to win a World Series when I'm still learning how to pitch in Major League Baseball? Now, of course, if you want to go out there and be the best, you got to beat the best. That kind of an argument. But at a certain point, you just have to tip your cap and say, hey, they're just a really great team. And the Dodgers, they're going to be a formidable force in Major League Baseball for at least the next 5, 6, 7 years with Ohtani, Freeman, Betts. Now Sasaki could probably take it even further if they continue to keep this growth going forward. But the Dodgers certainly are the favorite on paper. But the rest of the league had better be on notice that, yes, while they're the favorite on paper, they still have to go out there and win the game. You still have a chance to go out there and sign Alex Bregman right now. You still have the opportunity to add Pete Alonso. You still have an opportunity to go out there and add Tanner Scott to your bullpen. You still have an opportunity to bring in Nick Pivetta. You can contact the San Diego Padres to make a trade for Dylan Cease. Stop crying about how the Los Angeles Dodgers are so good and why even play the season. All those fans out there that right now are saying, oh, it's not fair, I'm going to tune out. No, you're not. You're going to watch the Los Angeles Dodgers just like the rest of us. You like seeing smart baseball being played. You like seeing the greatness on the field. You guys didn't tune out when it was the Golden State Warriors in the NBA. You guys didn't tune out to the Bulls in the 90s. You guys didn't tune out to the New York Yankees in the late 90s. You guys didn't tune out to the Miami Heat when LeBron went there. You guys like watching greatness, and you're going to watch this season of Major League Baseball. So let's tone down the rhetoric about how it's bad for the game. Please. The numbers for television are going to go through the roof anytime the Dodgers are on TV. The tickets are going to go up as well, and high tides raise all boats, and so the more eyes that are on baseball, the better. And now that you have one of the quote-unquote super teams out there again, an evil empire team for the first time in almost 30 years, I would love to see what opportunities baseball has going forward. Alrighty. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Anthony, Upside, in your honest opinion, who do you feel is the most inaccurate baseball reporter in MLB today? I think they're all fairly accurate. I think everybody has their misses, but I think they're all pretty much pretty much accurate as well. Yang Yi, the last three LA Dodgers signees, Teo, Kim, and Sasaki, took less money from than other teams. What does that say about the Dodgers? Is that they get whoever they want at their price point, and they've done a really nice job of stringing these deals together and being able to get the deferrals. That loophole will be closed in the next CBA. We've discussed that already. But really great work by the Dodgers, realizing that these players wanted to go to them and taking advantage of the market. Welcome in, Chilltown. Appreciate you joining us. Upside Sports Network, what fan are you? Rangers. Willard, by the way, $1 billion TV deal doesn't hurt either. Yes, that's why the agreement that they made with Shohei Ohtani was so lucrative for them. It was so far and away the best move that they could have made. Just because of the money that they're bringing in off the field, let alone all the revenue they're going to bring in from TV money, advertisements, etc. I read somewhere that they were selling some of the advertising space on the outfield wall for $10 million just for, I think it was a 30-game stretch. So Dodgers are certainly rolling in money. It's a lot more money than they had even expected themselves. And now with them being considered the super team in Major League Baseball, they're going to make even more money because, again, the TV money that you're mentioning there as well. Problem is nobody wants to be a Yankee anymore. Yankees are not attractive anymore. Los Angeles is. I don't know about that. You still have the pinstripes, the storied history of the Yankees, that kind of thing. The Dodgers are the flavor of the month. They're the team right now to beat, and that's why they're able to get the deals that they want. However, you can only have how many players on your roster? Oh, yeah. And how many pitchers can start a game at a single time? Oh, yeah. Still just one guy there. The rest of the league still can go out there and try to add to their rosters. That's what I'm saying. There's still time to go out there and make an addition to your lineup. If you really want to be able to compete with the Los Angeles Dodgers, go out there and spend the money. You've seen the relief prices over the last couple of days. Those are really high right now. Nobody's really talked about that. How Jose Leclerc gets a one-year, $10 million deal from the A's. I get it. The A's have to spend money to avoid having a grievance filed against them by the MLBPA. But my goodness, $10 million for Jose Leclerc, that's a little rich. And then A.J. Minter, 2 for 22. That was a surprising deal for me, how much he ultimately got. And yet we still have Kirby Yates and Tanner Scott out there as well. We're seeing a significant jump in payroll, a significant jump in salaries for bullpen arms right now. And I'm wondering if that's the reason why this relief market has been a little bit slow to develop as well. Alrighty, appreciate all you guys joining us. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe if you are new here. Got about 65 of you guys with us right now, so appreciate you guys taking some time out on a Saturday evening and joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to send them to us. Send us a super chat. If I do miss your comment, I'll try to answer your questions if you have them. But I agree with your comment there. Dodgers are the most hated team in all of MLB and maybe sports right now. Hated's a strong word, but I would say they are definitely the evil empire right now in Major League Baseball. And like I said, Major League Baseball has not had a quote-unquote super team like this since the 90s Yankees. And I would love to see how this really plays out in this new landscape of how streaming is working for TV money, all those kinds of things, what it does for the TV deals, what it does for the product on the field, what it does to teams that try to push their chips to the middle to try to compete for a wild card spot at the deadline. If you're in the National League side, and you see the Dodgers and they're 70-10. As you get closer to the All-Star break, do you push your chips to the center, even though you know the Dodgers are preeminent favorite to win it all? But I don't think they'll be that good of a team. I think they're still going to be around that 100, 110, 115 win mark. I don't think they're going to be 130 and 32 by the end of the season. They still have their flaws. They still have bullpen issues. They still have injuries to contend with. They're not going to have Kershaw for about the first half of the season. You're still going to have to deal with Ohtani not being ready to start the season in that rotation. And then you're still going to have to get Freeman back into the swing of things after recovering from offseason surgery as well. Dodgers are certainly the favorite, but it's not done yet. That's why you still play the games. And we'll see how they ultimately do. Let's see. Willard, saw your comment there. Look, upside, you got to admit it's basically one-team league. The Dodgers, but every other team gets scraps. I wouldn't agree with that at all. I mean, the Dodgers still had to work within their budgetary constraints. They didn't just go out there and say, hey, Juan Soto, we'll take you for $5. That didn't happen. They didn't say, hey, Juan Soto, we'll sign you for $765 million. That didn't happen either. They could have easily added the best free agent in the game this offseason. They could have gone out there and said, all right, the top 5 starters, Burns, Snell, we want to bring both of you guys in. We'll make a trade and bring in, Dylan Cease. We want this player, this player, and this player, and this player. We'll bring back Corey Seager, whoever, just because we're the Dodgers. That didn't happen. So let's tone down a little bit of the hatred for how the Dodgers built up this team. All the other teams might not have had the money that the Dodgers had, but they certainly have the ability to build a roster that is a competitive team. And for instance, the Texas Rangers, my favorite team, I'd say they have a far better chance than they did last year with all the injuries that they had in that rotation coming into the season. The offense really collapsing in the first half of the year. The moves that they've made, I like where Texas is going into the year. I think they'll be a competitive team. I think they very well could win the division and may even get to the World Series. Now, once they get to the World Series, like I said, you still have to play the games. And on paper, the Dodgers should beat any team in Major League Baseball right now handily. But you see how things work. You have a 3-game series. Dodgers may win 2 of the 3. That would be 2-1 record for the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are beatable. Let's not get carried away with the rhetoric around the Dodgers right now. Just goes to show you Yankees postseason chokers. That's a little strong there. Last time the Yankees bought a championship was in 2009. That's a little strong. I mean, the same could be said about the Dodgers right now. But as far as like building a great team, there are different ways to do it. And yes, teams that have the money to go out there and spend in free agency, there's a different look to them as opposed to a team that does it through only homegrown guys. But for instance, the Kansas City Royals did it with only homegrown guys in the 2015 range. The Cubs did it with primarily homegrown guys and then went out there and made a trade to bring in Aroldis Chapman. They brought in John Lester to help out in that rotation. They still supplemented their roster with the homegrown talent that they had with Kyle Schwarber and Javi Baez and Chris Bryant, among others. The Texas Rangers, the year they won in 23, they had a lot of good homegrown talent coming up through the major leagues. A guy like Josh Young, you make the minor league trade anyway, trading away Joey Gallo and bringing in Ezekiel Duran, Josh Smith. Those are some of their guys that they brought in through the minors. Leody Taveras, Evan Carter, all those guys played a role on that team. Cody Bradford, Dane Dunning, and then of course you had a mix of free agents coming in. Nathan Eovaldi, you made the trade for Jordan Montgomery. You bring in Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. You claim somebody off waivers with Adolis Garcia. You make a trade, minor league level trade anyway, to bring in Nathaniel Lowe years prior with the Tampa Bay Rays. There are different ways to build a team, to build a competitive team. And a team like the Royals, who spent last year, haven't spent this year really, have a really nice chance to win the division and could catch lightning in a bottle. Remember the year they won. They used speed, contact, defense, pitching. It's how they ultimately won. And the Royals are really building up for that again this year. We'll see how successful they turn out to be. The Tigers, to me, are still a hitter away and in a high-end leverage arm at the back end of that bullpen for them to be considered a legitimate contender in the American League. Yankees, to me, still need to add one more bullpen piece. I think they will get it done. And then I think at the deadline, they'll add an impact bat. Then, for me, I think they'll solidify their case as being the favorite on paper to get to the World Series. The Orioles, if they add a number 1, they could be right there with the Yankees as well. Red Sox, if they add Bregman, could be there as well. But there's so many good teams in Major League Baseball. Let's not get carried away that the Dodgers, just because they sign a pitcher who's never thrown one single pitch in Major League Baseball, is all of a sudden the greatest team since sliced bread, and they're not going to lose a single game. Let's not get carried away with that type of a rhetoric. Really appreciate all you guys as fandoms of all your favorite teams out there, but let's not get too far down the road with the Dodgers being the favorites in Major League Baseball. Alrighty. Let's see here. Try to catch up on a couple of these comments. There's so many. Who's the next to sign? Good question. Maniac Blue Dodgers, welcome back. Appreciate you joining us. Life's journey. Do you think anyone will melt down if the Dodgers sign Tanner Scott as well? I'm sure everybody will cry foul, just like everybody's crying foul right now about the refs and Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, the calls were questionable. Were they completely egregious? Where you completely say, hey, that's completely out of the textbook. They weren't even in the same frame. There was no penalty to be there, or no penalty flag should have been thrown at all. There was a questionable hit for him, and I understand how the referees in live action thought there should have been a flag being thrown. Should there actually be? Should there have been some type of oversight that said, hey, no, there wasn't actually any contact to Patrick Mahomes, pick up the flag? Absolutely. But that's not the system we have right now. Until that's fixed, stop whining about the referees with the angles that they had and the action you saw live. It looked like Patrick Mahomes got hit on a slide, and you can understand from the referee's angle why they threw the flag. Now, in Major League Baseball, there's still going to be people who whine about, Tanner Scott if he does go to the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are the favorite for Tanner Scott because they've been looking for a bullpen upgrade all offseason. Their number one target was Devin Williams, so not everybody goes to the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Yankees were able to steal him away. The rumors earlier this offseason was Gavin Lux and a prospect going to the Brewers in exchange for Devin Williams. Obviously, they decided to go the route with the New York Yankees, bringing in Nestor Cortez, getting some help in that rotation, rather than going for a position player in Gavin Lux. Gotta like that move if you're the Brewers, because they needed to add some rotation help. But as far as Tanner Scott goes, that's their number two option since they miss on Devin Williams. But Tanner Scott, to me, I think would really elevate that bullpen. Still would have a little bit of a hole to me. I think they'd need at least one more arm after that. But Tanner Scott would be a great option for that Los Angeles Dodgers bullpen. On paper, that'd probably be the most significant piece they could still add to that team right now is some bullpen help. But to answer your question, who signs next? I think, of course, we'll get some smaller signings. But as far as the bigger fish, I think we're very close to a Bregman deal at some point, and then I think the rest of the relief market is going to be very quick here as well. Now that we've seen A.J. Minter, Jose Leclerc, and some of the other bigger names start to trickle off the board here, we're going to see some of those top dominoes begin to fall. Remember, pitchers and catchers report in less than a month. Spring training begins in right around a month. We're going to see plenty of activity. There was something like 150 free agents still available just about a week or so ago. That number really hasn't dwindled too much. There's still plenty of talent out there. It's just a matter of have the prices come down enough to where some of these smaller market teams that were not comfortable paying at the high end prices that we saw around the winter meetings, have those prices fallen enough to where they're have palatable enough prices to be able to get those deals signed. But do I think if anybody will have a meltdown if the Dodgers sign Tanner Scott? I'm sure they will. Alrighty. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Let's see here. To be honest with you, I don't think the Yankees are a playoff team this year. They're going to be depressing and boring to watch. I think they're going to be just fine for the 162. My question for the Yankees is what happens once they get to October. I think they'll easily win at least a wild card spot. I think they'll be right there for the division. I think they'll still add a bat around the deadline to help out that lineup a little bit. They're going to try to offload Stroman to save a little bit of money. But to me, the Yankees are still the class of the American League. Now, the American League is still more wide open than the National League by a wide margin. The Dodgers are the prohibitive favorites in all of baseball to win the World Series, let alone get to the World Series on the National League side. The American League side, there's a 3, maybe a 4-team race for the AL East. You're looking Yankees, Red Sox, Rays have a little bit of a case to make there, and the Orioles, of course. Orioles, to me, still need to add a number 1 to that rotation. AL Central, got a 3-team race there. Guardians, Tigers, and Royals. AL West, if the Mariners can add some offense, it could be a 3-team race there as well. Appreciate all you guys joining us tonight. Thank you for all the comments tonight. Not too much happening, though, in the world of baseball this evening. Let me go ahead and head over to X and see if anything is happening. Tomorrow we'll have a little bit longer of a live where we will get into some of the holes in rotations, holes in lineups, and get into some of those deals as well. Here's some news anyway for those of you who are against the Dodgers signing Roki Sasaki. MLB actually conducted an investigation prior to Roki Sasaki's posting. Interesting. Upside, you must admit the Dodgers have the most deferrals in the league. They do. That's not something I have to admit. That's a fact. And I feel like this is the only way they're able to get Roki without going over the Steve Cohen tax. I mean, Roki was only signed to 6.5. That's next to nothing. They could easily offload a salary of around that mark if they wanted to be, if they were worried about that reason for the deal. The reason why they get Roki Sasaki is because he's going to be playing for the league minimum for the next 3 years, and then he's going to have the arbitration process. He's going to have plenty of control there with the Dodgers, and the Dodgers have a really good starting pitcher that they can put at the back end of their rotation and allow to grow and allow to take his time in major leagues. Allow him to build up his innings in the major leagues, allow him to, slowly build up his arm strength, slowly build up to the different ball, get comfortable with playing in the United States, get comfortable playing in LA with all the other talent that they have around him. They don't have to put all the pressure on his shoulders. He is going to be their number 6 starter in that rotation. Even with Clayton Kershaw missing the start of the year, I'm sure Tony Gonsolin will be in that starting rotation to begin the year. Dustin may ultimately make a few spot starts as well. But Roki is signed. He is on a very cheap contract right now, and the Dodgers have full control of him for many years to go. Alrighty. Going to go ahead and do a shorter video today. We'll do our long one tomorrow. We'll be live probably in the morning. I'm not sure what time yet. Depends on how the family ultimately decides to do lunch tomorrow, but should have some fun with them. But tomorrow we're going to do a couple of live, long videos where we get into some of the weeds here as what's left for teams to sign, who's left on the free agent market, some trades that we're going to get into as well. Let's head over to MLB Trade Rumors, see if anything is happening over there. The Sasaki stuff there, nothing else new. Blue Jays are still talking with Anthony Santander. No surprise there. They're playing Los Angeles franchise mode in the show, and I have a Google document that makes it look realistic. Cool. All right. Bandwagon fans, LA. Yes, there will be plenty of those. Just like the Heatles had a huge fan base when LeBron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh teamed up, and when Steph Curry and KD teamed up out there in San Francisco on the West Coast. When the Yankees, build up their super team, their evil empire in the late 90s. When you have a super team out there, you're going to have plenty of bandwagon fans hop on there as well. Alrighty, appreciate you guys joining us this evening. If you have any questions for us, please feel free to send them to us on the videos that we've posted over the last couple of days. Would really like to answer some of those comments here in the next couple of days as well, and then get into some of those holes that are still left on those other rosters as well. Welcome in, John. Appreciate all you guys joining us tonight. We'll be back live again tomorrow. Are the Yankees done? No, they are not. They're still going to be looking for some bullpen help. They're still going to add one more middle infielder, third guy who can play third base as well. Somebody who's going to help out their infield defense. But the Yankees are not done. For me, one of the most interesting teams to watch over the next week or so is going to be the San Diego Padres and the Toronto Blue Jays. Both of those teams are going to be fairly active. Where Bregman goes, I think there's going to be some significant chatter with the team that misses on Bregman for Anthony Santander. So that's something to kind of keep in mind as well. Life's Journey, who wins tomorrow between the Rams and Eagles? Chalk would say the Eagles. I think on paper the Eagles. I think that the Rams played well above their heads against the Vikings. Honestly, I don't think they're going to get to the quarterback nearly as much to Jalen Hurts as they did to Sam Darnold. And for me, I'm going to say the Eagles ultimately win that one, as tough as that is to say, as a Cowboys fan. All right. Thank God you're not a Yankee. All righty. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Thank you guys for all the comments. Been a very lively chat tonight. We'll try to keep up with it again tomorrow night, or tomorrow morning and tomorrow night. Probably do 2 lives tomorrow. Watch a little bit of football with the folks. Have some lunch with them as well. But I appreciate all you guys and all your interest in baseball. Even on a day when there's nothing happening out there, you guys still show up in force. Really appreciate you guys joining us, hitting that like and subscribe. And we'll be back again tomorrow morning as well. The Yankees are done dealing. As far as trades, I would say so. It's outside of Marcus Stroman. I think they're going to make a trade there. Washington playing well, winning 38-28. All right, I'll check out that game for the Commanders. All righty. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great evening, everybody.